The Muckenthaler Center you see today looks much like it did when it was built as a family home in the 1920s for Walter and Adela Muckenthaler. Walter's love of the performing arts, traveling, and mission-style architecture are evidenced in the Muckenthaler Villa's design and purpose. The villa is built atop a hill in Fullerton, California, and was resided in by the Muckenthaler family until it was generously gifted to the city of Fullerton in 1965. It was then transformed into a cultural center to continue the Muckenthalers' desire to encourage and provide a platform for the performing arts as a celebration of the human spirit through the arts. Today, the Muck, as it is affectionately called, welcomes over 100,000 visitors each year and serves over 25,000 people. Its 8.5 acres of manicured lawns is consistently a popular venue for the over 75 weddings, soirees, and other celebrations they host annually. It produces over 100 performances each year, such as the Muck Luau, various concerts and art exhibits of various mediums featuring local and international artists. They also offer an array of educational programs for children and adults, including painting, dance, photography, music, pottery, and ceramics, among others. The Muck not only enjoys a wide reputation for its excellence and dedication to the performing arts, but also for its historic villa. In 1999, the Muckenthaler Center received the designation by the National Registry of Historic Places and was added to its selective list of places in America that are worthy of preservation. And indeed, the villa certainly is worthy of preservation. Its blend of Spanish colonial revival and Italian villa architecture is beautifully displayed among the lush foliage and trees that were once part of California's robust citrus grove industry.
First of all, if you look out the window there, you'll see all of those rooftops. And that whole neighborhood, everything from Commonwealth to Malvern, everything from Euclid to Basque, that entire about 12-block neighborhood was the Muckenthalers' ranch. It was 80 acres from end to end, and there was another 8.5 acres up here on the hill that was their homestead property. And the 8.5 acres that was up here was used to raise produce and fruit that they used for their own consumption, whereas the 80 acres was for the commercial citrus ranch.
The Muckenthaler Villa was commissioned in 1924 for $35,000. It was designed by local architect Frank Benchley, who had also designed several other Fullerton buildings, including the California Hotel and the Farmers and Merchants Bank. It was built by E.J. Herbert, who also constructed the Santa Fe Depot in 1930. Walter Muckenthaler was intricately involved in the design and building of the 18-room Mediterranean-inspired estate, incorporating his fine taste and love of architecture and traveling into its architecture. Walter and Adela's Italian Renaissance-style villa was not Italian in style only.
The Muckenthalers went to Italy and they found a beautiful railing and stained glass window that had been damaged in an earthquake there, and they had it shipped over here and the house built around it, and that's the front railing that you see when you go inside.
The villa's 7,600 square foot interior also boasts of mahogany windows, hand-comb plaster moldings, and tiles designed by the prestigious Ernest Batchelder Tile Company. The famed tile company was commissioned to design tiles for the butler's pantry, the solarium floor, and 2 fireplaces. The 2-story octagonal solarium, with its original hanging lamp overhead and the original Batchelder tiles underfoot, is beautiful for its exquisite style and the view it once held. The solarium was designed to display the 80 acres of land and groves of lemons, avocados, and walnuts that once surrounded the villa. It no doubt offered a breathtaking view through its palladium windows of what Southern California looked like during its citrus grove heyday, prior to the population explosion of the mid-century. Across from the solarium on the first floor is the living room, which now houses one of the art galleries and exhibits. Just beyond the living room is the formal dining room, which has been preserved with original family furniture and relics. There was also a large open-air central atrium that has now been covered for many years. The upstairs portion of the villa once housed the bedrooms and the bathroom. The bedrooms have since been transformed into administration offices for the Muck staff. The villa's grounds are as stunning today as they were when first built, despite some changes. Walter planned the landscaping with Clark Clutch of Sequoia Nursery in Fullerton, one of California's first landscaping architects, which took over 4 years to complete. The grounds originally included an arbor, fountain, hair-style gardens, and a reservoir for irrigation of the citrus groves.
Way back when it was a farm, on the corner of the ranch there was a sign. There is a sign now that used to be an irrigation pond, and there was a beautiful stream that went down the hill to this irrigation pond, and they'd pull a lever and it would irrigate the fields all by gravity. And that pond was a favorite place to play for the kids and for Harold when he was a kid. It was their swimming pool, basically. And because the stream was so nice going down the hill and all these lush green ferns and stuff grew up around it, they built a nice stone gazebo there. It's still there to this day. And if you notice, that's the lushest part of the property because it is still groundwater there from when there was a pond and a stream there.
Today, the stone gazebo at the original Citrus Grove Reservoir is a favorite of bridal parties and photographers alike, as is the picturesque Italian garden. Palm trees frame the Italian garden, sans its original sundial at the west end, and serves as the backdrop to over 75 weddings annually. There was also a large aviary with peacocks and other exotic birds on the north side of the villa. And even though the aviary no longer exists, its former site, in addition to Walter's Rose Garden, is now known as Adela's Lawn. The original circular driveway is still surrounded by the originally planted palm trees, although the once young palms now gracefully tower over the estate. The Muckenthalers hosted many birthdays, holidays, and family gatherings at their home. The original barbecue in the rear courtyard is still there, although the courtyard is now known as the Center Circle Courtyard. In keeping with the spirit of its original use, the Center Circle Courtyard now hosts parties, concerts, and poetry readings. The Muckenthaler Villa is second to none in its architecture, ingenuity, and beauty. The only thing that can rival its grandeur is the extraordinary story of the Muckenthalers themselves. Just as the family was a part of shaping the city of Fullerton, it also has deep roots in the history of California. The Muckenthaler Villa is the product of several generations' hard work and perseverance during the formation and struggle of the state of California. Their story witnessed and took part of some of America's most historical events, from the Spanish expedition of California, led by Junipero Serra in the 1700s. In 1854, Walter Muckenthaler's grandparents, Martin and Elizabeth Muckenthaler, originally Muckenthaler, emigrated from the Baden-Württemberg region of Germany to the United States. They eventually settled in Newberry, Kansas, where Martin helped lay out the town and owned a 2-story home. Martin and Elizabeth had 9 children, including Walter's father, Albert Muckenthaler. When Albert was 20 years old, he had visited the small German settlement town of Anaheim, California for work. He liked Anaheim very much, but wasn't able to stay there permanently. He moved back to Kansas, where he married Augusta Ebert in 1889, the same year that California legislature divided Los Angeles County to create Orange County. Together they had 6 children and ran a successful dairy farm near Paxico, Kansas. They had a good life in Kansas, but Albert's dream of permanently moving to Anaheim with his family was never far from his mind. Walter Moritz Muckenthaler was born in Paxico, Kansas in 1896 to Albert and Augusta. He spent the first 13 years of his life in Kansas until his father Albert made good on his dream of returning to California with his family. They moved to Anaheim, California in 1909. Walter's future wife, Adela Kramer, a daughter of the wealthy Kramer family in Placentia, California, had a similar immigrant background as well. Her paternal grandparents, Daniel and Eleonora Kramer, immigrated to the United States in the 1850s from Bavaria, Germany, initially settling in the Midwest before coming to Anaheim, California. In 1865, Daniel purchased a dirt floor adobe that had been built in 1837 from the Ontiveros family, one of the great land grant rancho families that had received a land grant from Mexican government for exploring Alta California, the northern part of California that was then part of Mexico. Little did the Kramers know this would not be their only connection with the Ontiveros family. When Daniel purchased 3,900 acres of land for 30 cents an acre in 1867 in an area not far from Anaheim, he became the first English-speaking settler of Placentia. Daniel Kramer's son, Samuel Kramer, married Angelina Yorba in 1886, unifying what land the Kramers had to that of one of the last of the Grand Yorbas. Angelina was the daughter of Maria de los Dolores Ontiveros, one of the Grant Rancho families, who were also one of the earliest Mexican-American families in the region. Her father was Prudencio Yorba, the grandson of José Antonio Yorba, the Spanish adventurer soldier who fought the pirate Bouchard at San Juan Capistrano as part of the Portola expedition in 1769. José Antonio Yorba's services were rewarded by the Spanish government in 1810 when they awarded him the 63,414-acre Rancho Santiago de Santa Ana land grant.
And he was awarded a land grant. He fought later when it became part of Mexico. He sided with the Americans, and he got to keep his land grant. And it was his grandchildren, one of which was Bernardo Yorba, who ended up setting up shop in Yorba Linda, that sold this part of North Orange County to different farmers. And in Anaheim, it was the German farmers.
In fact, Yorba Linda was named after Bernardo Yorba, and it was his granddaughter Angelina who married Samuel Kramer in 1886. In Angelina and Samuel's marriage, the history of California could be seen, its adventurous Mexican and Spanish heritage combined with the immigrant spirit of ingenuity and opportunity. Their marriage produced 8 children, including Walter Muckenthaler's future wife, Adela Kramer. Walter and Adela met through St. Boniface Church in Anaheim, which both their families attended. Their Catholic faith was very important to them, as it was an integral part of the life for many of the rancho and immigrant communities in Southern California. Walter displayed signs of leadership at an early age as he ran his father's bakery in Anaheim Boston Bakery and took on the responsibilities of being the eldest son. While he was attending Anaheim Union High School, he was heavily involved with the school's theater group, which helped cultivate his love of the performing arts and culture. He graduated from Anaheim Union High School in 1914 and briefly served in the Navy during World War I. Unfortunately, Walter was denied service when it was discovered that he had a heart murmur and had returned to home in Anaheim. Alongside his brothers, he helped run his dad's newest bakery, the White Lily Bakery, and set aside some of his earnings so that he could attend college one day. In the meantime, he enjoyed traveling all over California. He traveled to Catalina Island, the local mountains, Long Beach, Anaheim Landing, now known as Seal Beach, and San Francisco. His camera accompanied him everywhere he went, capturing his adventures and memories. He was especially fond of mission architecture in Southern California, particularly the San Gabriel Mission. In 1915, Walter visited the San Francisco Panama Pacific International Expo in San Francisco and the San Diego Panama California International Expo in San Diego, photographing many buildings at the expos. Walter's love and appreciation of mission-style architecture was predicated by his trips to these expos and the mission-style architecture that is reflected in the design and building of his home several years later. In 1916, Walter attended University of California at Berkeley at the School of Architecture and Design with the money he had saved working at his father's bakery. The civil engineering education he received during his time at UC Berkeley assisted him. In this, he became a civil engineer for the city of Fullerton later on in his life. Adela Kramer was a devout Catholic and enjoyed traveling and outdoor activities as well. Having grown up on a rancho from a young age, she was accustomed to helping her family by tending to her siblings, the cattle, horses, and chickens. In her spare time, she enjoyed horseback riding and attending various church activities where she and Walter first met. Walter and Adela were married in 1919 at St. Boniface Church on Lincoln Avenue in Anaheim. Their first apartment was in Fullerton, as was their wedding gift from Adela's parents, 80 acres of land. In addition to their marriage, the year 1919 was monumental for another reason as well. Union Oil Company discovered oil on Samuel Kramer's land in what is now known as Brea, making him one of the richest men in Southern California. He allowed them to start drilling oil wells in 1920, yielding enormous earnings that the Kramers shared with their children, including Adela and Walter. Samuel went on to build the first high-rise building in Anaheim in 1925, the Kramer Building. Kramer Avenue, which runs through the cities of Yorba Linda and Orange, is named in his honor. Adela received one of the oil leases, from which the royalties funded the transformation of her and Walter's 80 acres of land in Fullerton into citrus groves. They also purchased 8.5 acres of lemon trees north of Malvern Avenue in Fullerton as the site for their new dream home. Before the Muckenthaler Villa began construction in 1924, Walter and Adela welcomed their only child, Harold Walter Muckenthaler, into the world on October 1, 1922. Walter became a civil engineer for the Santa Fe Railroad, for which he later surveyed. Due to safety concerns of being so close to destructive railroad construction work, Adela's father used his acquaintances to secure a job for Walter with the city of Fullerton as a city surveyor, thus beginning a relationship with the city of Fullerton that would continue the rest of his life. Walter and Adela's villa was built in 1924 and was a perfect blend of their histories and interests, from the villa's Italian Renaissance style to its salute to the Spanish colonial revival architecture. Just as the family loved to travel to various locations such as Hawaii, Big Bear, the Sierra Nevada Mountains, Yosemite National Park, Palm Springs, and the beach, their adventurous spirit is displayed in the home as well. Their appreciation for the finer things in life is reflected in the villa's large walk-in closets, Walter's affinity for cars, and their rich wardrobe and chic attire. Young Harold's childhood was filled with fun and adventure, courtesy of his backyard aviary, the stream and the vast orange groves. Despite being an only child, he never lacked playmates. Their home hosted many family functions year-round, and he had many cousins in Anaheim who he played with, in addition to the neighbors and children of the ranch employees. Walter and Adela operated their prosperous citrus grove business from their home on the hill, while Walter continued working for the city of Fullerton. In 1936, Walter was elected as a city councilman for his beloved city of Fullerton, which he served for 8 years. Walter and other council members helped guide the city of Fullerton as an agricultural center and in the construction of the new city hall in 1940.
Walter Muckenthaler was a city councilman here in Fullerton. He was city councilman when they built the original city hall, which is now the police building, and the Plummer Auditorium. A lot of great projects were done under his tutelage when he was a councilman. And so really between the Muckenthaler family, the Kramer family, and the Yorba family, you have 3 families who are founders of Anaheim, Placentia, Yorba Linda, and Fullerton, people who are movers and shakers in those 4 cities, as well as the whole county of Orange comes from the Yorba family.
Walter's son Harold graduated from Fullerton Union High School in 1941, after which he promptly enlisted in the Navy in 1942. In 1943, Harold married his high school sweetheart, Shirley Zoder, at St. Mary's Church in Fullerton on Valentine's Day. In 1944, Harold and Shirley gave birth to their eldest daughter, Peggy, who was followed by Cheryl and Kathleen within a few years. 1944 also marked election year. Walter declined to serve another term as city council member, opting instead to serve on the city's planning commission. After Harold's service in the Navy ended, he began a gas station business, but as his father's health deteriorated, he took over the business of the family ranch. Walter Muckenthaler passed away at the age of 68 on April 20th, 1958.
Then when Walter got old in the 60s and passed away, that his widow and his son Harold decided that they were going to, first they had the idea to make condos out of the property, which was a very new idea and very revolutionary in the 60s. But the neighbors didn't like the idea of condos being here, and the house would be the clubhouse for the condos. The neighbors weren't into it, so they decided instead to give the property to the Catholic Church to be a school. But the church didn't want the main building. They were going to tear it down, and their only stipulation was they couldn't tear down the family homestead. So the church was out, and so instead they decided to give it to the city of Fullerton to be a cultural center. And the city did promise that they would maintain the building. And now the building is in the National Registry of Historic Places and is one of the prime historic properties in North Orange County.
Adela and Harold desired to see his childhood home used as a cultural center, and this finally came to fruition in 1972. Due to red tape and legalities, the family's home wasn't formally utilized as the Muckenthaler Cultural Center until this time. Beginning in 1981, the Muck underwent extensive renovations to make the center more conducive to hosting art exhibits and live performances. In 1995, a 246-seat amphitheater was constructed on the South Lawn to host performing arts programs, while 2 studios have been added for arts classes. In 1999, the Muckenthaler Center received the designation by the National Registry of Historic Places and was added to its selective list of places in America that are worthy of preservation. Harold and Shirley actively supported the center for years until Shirley passed away in January 2010. Harold is also heavily involved with the Muck. Peggy is very active in the center, and she serves as a board member and serves as a historian and docent. She is also president of the Center Circle Guild, which she co-founded in 1967 with her mother Adela, who passed away in 1974. The Muckenthaler Cultural Center has won many awards, including Best Historic Site and Best Cultural Center, awards from OC Parenting Magazine in 2008, the Quality of Life Award from the Best Nonprofit Organization in the City from the Fullerton Chamber of Commerce, and the center won the Best Arts Organization Award in 2010 from the Countywide Arts Council, Arts OC. The over 100,000 visitors that the Muck receives annually testifies to the timeless architecture, the magnificent landscape, and the celebration of the human spirit that is offered to the local community. In anticipation of the Muckenthaler's 50th anniversary as a cultural center in 2015, there are more plans in store for the Muck. Nothing would please Walter and Adela more to know that the home they built and the life they built together in that home has left a legacy of giving and inspiration to thousands of people in Orange County.